Okay, hello again. I just did a video and the audio didn't record. I'm hoping this one records because if I have to do another one, I swear. Alright, I'm just going to burn through it. Apologize, this one's going to be so much shorter than the other one. The other one's like 12 or 13 minutes or something like that. This one's probably going to be closer to 5 now. I'm pissed. I will drop my notes in though so you can see what I said in the other one. First one, discuss how communication technology has evolved, both generally as discussed in the text and in your writing or working professional life experience. Apply the concepts discussed in Chapter 11 in your experience of using technology to communicate in a workplace/organization setting. So, due to the uprising technology over time and for how quick it is been rising as well, one may notice how technology organizations are taken into typical everyday situations. For my personal experience in the Marines, the organization has lots of different communication lines between VoIP, data entry, data link communications, typing through different applications and programs and so forth. The more technology advances, the more it requires for individuals to understand it. For the Marine Corps, me personally, I had to learn how to use different radio types, data link coordinations, VoIP, like I said, voice over internet protocol, secured communications, and much more. So moving into question 2, explain by citing the text and applying your personal and professional experiences the interaction of new technologies and communication, specifically as they relate to network organizations. What are they? How do they work? And what functions do they serve? I'm just going to burn through this one real quick again. On page 320, the authors talk about understanding organizational structure, and I think this fits perfectly. Because technology and communication is a huge part of the Marine Corps organization, more specifically, instead of an organization become decentralized like some organizations with too many forms of communication, there are specific forms of communication for reaching different aspects within the organization. So by that, I'm saying that if you want to reach higher ups, you're going to use a VoIP phone, so voice over internet protocol, or you could just use a normal cell phone if you're outside of work. If you're going to talk to a pilot, you're probably going to use like a PRIC 117, which is PRC TAC 117. It's a type of field radio. It's used to make specific calls to pilots. The example that I gave in my other video, communication between you and the pilot is going to sound something like, giving a call sign first, hey, this is me. So it'd be like Slater 41, that's the pilot I'm talking to. So hey, you. Me is Fly Squad. So I would give a traffic call like traffic BRA. BRA is an acronym, so it's for bearing, range, azimuth, and altitude, and then azimuth. And then you give the track declaration, and then you give them any other pointers. So in this case, I would say Slater 41, Vice Squad, traffic BRA, 326, 25, 26,000, track west, and then any other information that applies to them. Since personal phones are not permitted due to various securing data, the various other forms exist to help communicate between hierarchies within the Marines and laterally within the Marine Corps. So using data links, like I mentioned in question 1, that's to talk laterally through type text to other Marines. It's not so much for hierarchies to see what's going on through data text. It is recorded for log information, so if anything goes wrong, the higher-ups will see what's going on and know that someone made the wrong call or the right call. So, question 3. Consider a professional or organizational setting in which you've used technology to communicate. How does what our text presented as the media richness model, social presence theory, and social information processing theory impact communication? Have these mattered in your previous organizational settings? Use the concept from text to support your response. So page 334 talks about social presence theory and how individuals communicate with others they feel more at ease. So basically, if you're talking face to face, you feel compelled to talk to them easier than you are, across a VoIP phone. So if you can't see them, you'll not talk to, won't be as comfortable talking to them. Either it could be maybe something you're not comfortable talking with in general, or just when you're talking to them, you just like to see their face, to see their their nonverbal communication. The best example I have for this situation was when I was in the Marines talking to pilots. It was hard for me to not talk like a robot. So instead of using voice reflection, I would just sound like this, and talk to them. So it's pretty easy to do when you're not used to the brevity and the upkeep of communication. So more specifically, the calls on the radio I got super comfortable with, and eventually realized that pilots are humans like me and you, and just needed to be calm and collective and etc. So once I was able to sit down with pilots post mission, it's called a debrief. I'd hear the same thing over and over, like, oh, you sound like a robot, you sound pretty nervous, you just need to be calm. And eventually it clicked, and I was like, all right, I got this, know how to do this. And yeah. Question 4, discuss the media ecology of right now. What would McLuhan argue would shape and make up our current landscape? Use the text to support your answer. So I believe from page 336, this would be a perfect example. What I've gathered in terms from media ecology, there are many different forms of media that McLuhan would be proud of. Based on what he says in the text, or what he mentions in the text, is he talks mainly about the post-printing press and the telegraph, and those are inventions of milestones. Well, now we have things of telephones, we have cell phones. Telephones are actually getting out of the way now. We're going more towards the cell phones. Companies are starting to use cell phones for absolutely everything. Instead of why buy the company a bunch of landlines, and instead just use personal cell phones. They can give out personal cell phones, and you can have a mobile phone on you at 24/7. They can reach you whenever they want. And then they can just secure it using mobile data management. So MDM, there's different services for that, to manage all phones at the same time. So and then there's really no excuse for you not to answer your phone on the weekend when they try to get a hold of you, because they're paying for it. So other examples, you have computers for email, or even VoIP, so Skype or something. There's various other things you can use, like MSN, AOL. Those are pretty old now, but they have other ways to message people. Newspapers, news articles through internet, magazines, and so much forward that media takes technology above and beyond. So technology is getting so advanced now that organizations can talk to any other organization in hundreds of different ways. They didn't even have to talk to other organizations. They could talk to people within their own organization to create a culture in a different kind of climate. So, and that's kind of all I have. I will copy and paste my notes into it. That way you can see pretty much what I put for my other one. And this one, again, I kind of just ran through my notes, changed it up a little bit. So, and if this one doesn't work, then I'm going to get really pissed off. All right, thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you guys in class.